Hello and welcome to another story from the old Fliers. Australian John Monash's accomplishments are celebrated in the naming of the Monash Freeway, City of Monash, Federal Division of Monash and Monash University, plus others. His face is on the Australian $100 note. John Monash has been recognised as possibly our most accomplished military general. What then draws our aviation channel to celebrate a World War I Army general? Simply this: according to British historian A.J.P. Taylor, Monash was the only general of creative originality produced by the First World War. Monash's impact on Australian military thinking was significant in three areas. First, he was the first Australian to fully command Australian forces, and he took, as following Australian commanders did, a relatively independent line with his British superiors. Second, he promoted the concept of the commander's duty to ensure the safety and well-being of his troops to a preeminent position in a philosophy of collective individualism. And finally, he, along with Staff Officer Thomas Blamey, forcefully demonstrated the benefit of thorough planning and integration of all arms of the forces available and of all of the components supporting the frontline forces. That included logistical, medical and recreational services. Troops later recounted that one of the most extraordinary things about the Battle of Hamel was not the use of armoured tanks, nor the tremendous success of the operation, but the fact that in the midst of battle, Monash had arranged delivery of hot meals up to the front line. Extraordinary. Unlike his contemporary British generals, he saw no gain in sending troops over the top in massed frontal assaults against German defensive positions. His offensive pushes were coordinated to include tanks, artillery and aircraft. In World War II, the Germans employed such tactics. John Monash was born in 1865 in Melbourne to Jewish parents who had immigrated from Poland just 2 years before. John's potential was obvious from an early age. He graduated a Master and Doctor of Engineering, Bachelor of Arts and of Law. When World War I broke out in August 1914, Monash became a full-time Army officer commanding the 4th Infantry Brigade. His appointment was met with resistance due to his German and Jewish ancestry. He was deployed overseas to Egypt and to Gallipoli. His independent decision-making and organisational ability was recognised, though, foolishly, his long letters to his wife were too detailed with military information for the censor's liking. In June 1916, Monash and his command were sent to the Western Front near Armentières, and he was promoted to Major General. Monash later described the recapture of the town of Villers-Bretonneux on the 25th of April 19, after the Germans had overrun the 8th British Division under General William Henniker, as the turning point of the war. His appointment as Lieutenant General in charge of the Australian Corps was criticised by official historian Charles Bean and journalist Keith Murdoch, again due to his parentage. On the 8th of August 19, the Battle of Amiens was launched. Allied troops, under the command of Haig, predominantly Rawlinson's British 4th Army, consisting of the Australian Corps under Monash, Canadian Corps under Sir Arthur Currie, British 3rd Corps under Butler, and British Cavalry Corps under Kavanagh, attacked the Germans. The Allied attack was spearheaded by the Australian Corps, who had been given the capture of enemy artillery as a key objective in the first phase by Monash in order to minimise the potential harm to the attacking forces. The battle was a strong, significant victory for the Allies, the first decisive win for the British Army of the war, causing the Germans to recognise that for them the war was lost. The defeated German leader, General Erich Ludendorff, described it in the following words: August 8th was a black day for the German army in the history of the war. End of quote. These operations were just the start of a broad Allied offensive across the Western Front. Monash had 208,000 men under his command, including 50,000 inexperienced Americans. Monash planned the attack on the German defences in the Battle of the Hindenburg Line between the 16th of September and the 5th of October 1918. The Allies eventually breached the Hindenburg Line by the 5th of October and the war was essentially over. On the 5th of October, Prince Max von Baden, on behalf of the German government, asked for an immediate armistice. Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery later wrote, "I would name Sir John Monash as the best general on the Western Front in Europe." High praise indeed. Monash was nevertheless a noted advocate of the coordinated use of infantry, aircraft, artillery and tanks. As he later wrote, "The true role of infantry was not to expend itself upon heroic physical effort, nor to wither away under merciless machine gun fire, not to impale itself on hostile bayonets, nor to tear itself to pieces in hostile entanglements. I am thinking of Poncier's and Stormy Trench and Ballancourt and other bloody fields, but, on the contrary, to advance under the maximum possible protection of the maximum possible array of mechanical resources in the form of guns, machine guns, tanks, mortars and aeroplanes, to advance with as little impediment as possible, to be relieved as far as possible of the obligation to fight their way forward, to march resolutely, regardless of the din and tumult of battle, to the appointed goal, and there to hold and defend the territory gained, and to gather, in the form of prisoners, guns and stores, the fruits of victory." End of quote. John Monash died of a heart attack in 1931. His instructions were that his tombstone simply said, "John Monash." Thank you for watching. Comments always welcome. Please like and subscribe for more stories.